Hi, good morning. How are you? It's Dr. Brenda Eshin Shoshana back with another little talk on simple solutions in a complex world. Good morning. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've been able to stay tuned with and focus on all the good that's going on in the midst of so many reports of danger, trouble, fear, 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 fear. It seems as if we're pretty much inundated with rumors of war and reports of all kinds of difficult things. And that's what we've been dwelling upon, understandably, or our friends have been dwelling upon it, or it just seems as if that's what the reality is. Our days are precious, our days are numbered, which just even if we have 95 years, 200 years, they're numbered. They're gifts. Our days, our breath, our hours are tremendous gifts that we're given. And so I think we just need to be reminded of some very simple facts to counteract these waves and waves in the ocean of fear. When we succumb to the waves and to the fear that even arises within ourselves, that can be a very dangerous time and a very depressing time. And we use our life to hide, to defend, to attack, to search out others who are going to attack us. And we live in a very different state of mind than we would if we were just living the day as if it were a gift. And the actual deepest truth of the matter is that when we live the day, the moment, the hour, as if it were a gift, which it is, when we have that state of mind, when we react that way, when we look at others through those eyes, oh, you're a gift. Even this horrible news that we receive, somehow it's a gift. How? I don't know. But it's a different way of receiving life that actually affects not only us and our nature, but others and how they are feeling, how they're doing. Just that attitude, and it affects the events themselves. It's actually a pretty much proven fact. The way we look at something, the way we view something affects what it is we're looking at. That's actually wonderful news because we can, if we all join together or a large number of people join together and take a different perception of events and of life, it will affect what we see, what we hear, and actually what happens. It's the best way to affect it. Rather than to join the fear and the anger, rather than to fight it on its ground, we're tackling it or we're approaching it on our ground, from our point of view. It's very, very interesting. Whose point of view are you living from? That's a very important question. Whose ground are you standing on? Are you joining another in their world? Or are you sharing your world together? Are you claiming and honoring your own inner and outer world, even if it's very, very different from all the reports of fear that go streaming around? You know, it takes a lot of strength to say no. No, that's your world. That's not my world. But what do you mean? We're all living in the same world. We're all hearing the same news. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're all hearing the same words, but it becomes different news to us as we filter it through our own nature, our own perceptions, and then our own possibilities arise for how to handle it. You know, I want to tell you a little story. It just occurred to me, and it's a true story, and it's a Beautiful story. It happened a while ago, a few years ago. I was living in the city then, still living in the city then, and went to have a cup of coffee and some lunch with a very, very dear friend. And we were sitting, it's a little outdoor cafe. It was still there, got taken away, but it was still there. Then a pretty little outdoor cafe. And it was springtime. It was a lovely day, a lovely day. We were having lunch at the cafe, and I got some poached eggs, which I like poached eggs, and on toast and coffee and whatever. And my friend got whatever she wanted. And we were just chatting about this and that. And all of a sudden, and she's a very, I've known her 40 years, very strong, very stable, just a lovely woman, a lovely friend, almost like a sister. And there she was. We were just having lunch, catching up, and all of a sudden her face got like that. I never saw her face like that before. It froze. Her eyes got big, and she went like that. She recoiled, which was extremely unusual for this person. I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "I'm going inside. I don't want to sit out here." I said, "Why? What's wrong? It's such a pretty day." And she said, "Look." So I turned around and looked over my shoulder, and walking down the block was someone who looked very threatening, very unbalanced, dressed very oddly. He looked he looked nerve-wracking. And some of the people who were sitting outdoors followed her right inside. But I said, "No, no, 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 I can't do that. I don't want to do that." I looked at him. I kept looking at him. And I decided I want to look at him through my eyes, through different eyes. It's not a way to live, to just jump up and run away into the diner. So I just began to look at him and allow, in my perception, him to be who he was. I just allowed it. I made space around him. I didn't want to project all these negative images upon him. And he got closer to the little table that I was sitting in. There was a garbage can on the corner, and he's looking in the garbage can, looking around in the garbage can. And it hit me, oh my God, he must be hungry. So I said to him, "Are you hungry?" And he turned around and looked at me, and he smiled. This is a true story. He said, "Yeah, very." I said, "Okay." He said, "Would you like some of my eggs?" I just tried that. And he came over to the table and he looked. He said, "I don't like my eggs poached." We both laughed and laughed and laughed. He laughed and laughed, and I laughed and laughed. He liked his eggs scrambled. He didn't want to have them. He liked his eggs scrambled, not poached. So we both laughed. And he really, 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 his whole demeanor changed. I said, "Do you want to get some scrambled eggs?" He said, "No, no, I'm really okay. Thank you." Can you imagine? Thank you. Well, what an incredible interaction. And then he was going along and he said, "Oh, wait a minute, look at that." And right at the corner, the little cafe was right at the corner. There was a little boy with his mother a few steps behind, but he was rushing out into the traffic and the light was red just across the street, but he was rushing out. And this man went running over to protect that little boy, to pull him away from any possible car, to help the little boy and help the mother. I really wanted to cry. I was so touched by this whole scene. And then before he crossed the street, he turned around and waved at me with a smile. This is really a true story. I was so deeply moved and affected by that interaction. It stays with me. It teaches me so much. I'm not suggesting that if danger comes, we don't protect ourselves properly, but is it really danger? Are we projecting all our fears on someone else? Are we giving them a chance? This is not only with strangers, but right within our own marriages, relationships, families. The same thing goes on and on. We protect ourselves because the way we see inside of ourselves, we're just going to put that all over the world on everyone, even those very close to us. my friend came out shortly after, and her eyes were wide, and she said, I was watching through the windows. I said, isn't that an amazing thing that happened? She said, yes. She said, and I'm ashamed that I ran away. I said, don't be ashamed. See, that's the other side, nothing to be ashamed of. It was perfectly natural also to run away, but not productive. One could say one avoided or ran from a potentially life-changing experience for the good. I know this is I wasn't even expecting to talk about this today. I know it's kind of a far out story, but believe me, it is true. And it is a microcosm, in my opinion, of a wonderful way to live. To see what that so-called threatening person really needs to offer it. And the minute you offer it, they know that you're not seeing them as this strange person that they are pretending to be or acting out. You're seeing them through your eyes, through your perceptions. And by seeing them differently, you're calling out something very different in them as well. I saw him as a hungry person, not as someone who's about to attack, steal, kill, whatever. But he didn't like poached eggs, and that's fine. So anyway, it's about time to go, but I just wanted to offer that to you today and to offer the opportunity to discover another way of perceiving and responding, even little steps. Like that was just a little step, but it meant the world to him, to me, and my friend learned a lot from it too. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I love having you here. I appreciate it. I really do. And I look forward to this. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. Take good care. Uh, let's see. What's happening? Here we go. So many, all these techie little things that I have to do. Okay. Have a great day.